Hi, I'm Maddie and I'm a brand designer based in Norwich and a graduate of Norwich University of the Arts. And today I'm going to talk about confidence and creative confidence and building resilience, trusting your gut and learning to care just enough. So I'll get straight into it. Yeah, as I mentioned, my name's Maddie. I graduated from Norwich University of the Arts in 2018 from graphic design. And from there, I basically went straight into freelancing. So I kind of took a leap, took a leap of faith and went straight into the freelance world basically. And I'll talk a little bit more about how I got there and kind of the confidence that it took me to do that in a little while. But firstly, I'll just a brief kind of snapshot of some of my work, the type of things I do now. It's mainly brand identity design. And yeah, here's just a little overview of what I do. So yeah, as I said, graduated from Norwich University of the Arts in graphic design, and that's where my kind of love of branding first started. Um, there's just a couple of other photos to share. A couple of friends and I won a D&AD in our third year, which was a massive confidence boost, actually, talking of confidence. But it then kind of led to events unfolding, which I'll go into in just a moment about what led me to then take the leap into freelancing. So, yeah, my story, and I feel like my journey to freelancing has been a story of two parts, basically. And the kind of first part was how I got into doing it. I've now been doing it for nearly 9 years. So it was very much a journey of trust and about taking a leap of faith. Um, and it was, I finished my third year. We'd got this D&AD pencil, and the kind of done thing was to go to London. And I just felt my kind of gut instinct, which I'll talk a lot more about later on, but my gut instinct was that that wasn't the right thing for me. I did a lot of placements at different places, which I loved elements of them, didn't love other parts of them, and nothing just felt right to me, which I guess is a big part of this first sort of section of what I want to talk about around creative confidence, which is around building trust and having trust in yourself. So my kind of 2 cents on this is that part of creative confidence is also to do with having true inner confidence first, really, before you're able to then truly express creatively and confidently. So it's for me, it's all about like trusting your intuition, knowing what it's telling you. So knowing what that gut instinct is trying to tell you, and following it. So yeah, in this first part, I'm going to talk quite a lot about trust. Um, the name of this kind of presentation quiet is about being quietly confident, and this is something that I was once described as in a job interview, and then proceeded to get the job based on him feeling this about me, I guess, that I had this kind of quiet confidence. So yeah, not being the loudest in the room, I've never been kind of a really outwardly confident person, but I think I do have this deep kind of inner knowing of what feels right for me, and my gut in listening to my gut instinct and going with that even when it doesn't quite seem to make sense. So yeah, basically for me, true inner confidence comes with from within. And once I kind of understood this and stopped trying to appear confident, I felt like my real true confidence grew and continues to grow. It's something I feel like we are working on all the time. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But sort of just circling back to my journey into freelancing, it was quite a literal leap of faith. So I'd done all of these placements, got the D&AD award, and was applying for jobs, and I wasn't really getting anywhere with it. There was this one job which I thought I really wanted, and I then went on holiday to Finland, where I go every year with my family, and I hadn't heard about this job, hadn't heard, and then I just decided, right, I'm going to draft a load of emails to kind of local agencies saying that I'm available for freelance work. If I don't get this job, I'll send those emails, give it a shot, and kind of, very much do that whilst job hunting. It turns out I didn't get the job, and I wasn't disappointed when I had expected to be. And that was quite interesting to me and kind of made me think, well, maybe I didn't actually want it that much. And I felt quite excited by this idea of going freelance. So I literally hit send on those emails to agencies, and then, like, sounds really dramatic, but went and like ran and jumped into the lake in Finland, which is the picture here. And it just felt like a real moment of like starting something and having that confidence, that leap of faith. And yeah, I've not looked back since. It was always just a kind of temporary fix while I was job hunting. And here we are, like nearly 9 years later. Um, and then I described my journey with freelancing as kind of a tale of two parts so far. And the second part of that is the part I'm in right now, which is having a freelance business while also having young children. So I, in 2023, had my first son, and I took quite a chunk of time out of work actually or kind of, dabbling, but not. I'd always just worked full time, really kind of work was everything. I put so much into it, and it was growing, and I'd had my best financial years yet. And then I suddenly just took like 10 months out to have my son. And that felt like a real kind of, I had to have real confidence in myself and also in the market, in that there would be a need for me once I returned. So that really felt like a kind of a big moment, I guess, for me. And then I've also now got a 6 month old, so I'm kind of in that period of time right now again. But having learned from the first time, I just had to learn to trust in myself, trust in that there's enough work for everybody, which again I'll talk a bit about later on. But just to know that I can do both, and I'm able to do both and do both well. So yeah, it kind of, both entering the world of freelance but also like sticking at it has been a real test of confidence at times. And I've definitely veered, I've had wobbles over the years where I've been job hunting, etc., but I've always trusted that, you know peaks and troughs, and people talk about feast and famine with freelance, and it can be true, and you just have to kind of trust and put in the work and know that, yeah, if you've got that kind of confidence in it and in yourself, usually it works out. um so my kind of bit of advice around this idea of trust is putting the blinkers on. So, people hear this phrase all the time, but staying in your own lane, focusing forwards on your direction, your path, and not sort of sideways at what everybody else is doing. I think that's really important, whether you're freelance or not, but just creatively in general, like having an awareness, but also just really focusing forward and like what inspires you, what is it that you want to create or bring to life. Because it's really easy to get sucked into everything else going on around us. And I think that it can be really damaging for our own creativity and our own confidence, basically. So this was a quote, trust your gut because after your brain, it's the next best creative tool that you have. This was something that was said to us during a lecture actually while I was at Norwich University of the Arts. And I can't remember who said it, but it has stuck with me ever since. Yeah, it's pretty, does, what it says on the tin, but trusting that gut instinct, yeah, it's a creative tool, and you need to kind of practice listening to it, I think, in order to be your like your full creative self, I guess. The next kind of big topic within confidence and creative confidence for me is care and caring. So the idea that you're not your job. So this is a big one for me, and I think I still am learning this, but massively since having children, I've kind of, yeah, it's taught me this. It's work something you do, not something you are. So not letting it become your whole identity, and having that kind of separation as you, the person, and you, the work, or you, the creativity, I think, is really important. And when your confidence gets knocked in at work or creatively, it doesn't knock you so much as a person. I think that's really hard. Um, so I think it's a learning. It's something that we always have to kind of practice, but I think it's a really important one in order to, like, yeah, not have your self-worth and your self-confidence shattered. Um, so also knowing when enough is enough. So when to go above and beyond, whether it's for a boss or clients, or other, other people in your life or related to your creative practice, and when to hold back. So, you know, whether it's additional things within the scope that you wouldn't usually include, or squeezing in a client call when it's not really a convenient time for you or not within your usual working hours, like when, yeah, what the boundaries are for you, and knowing also when good enough is good enough. I think this is another thing that I've learned since becoming a mum, and I'm much more time poor. I don't have working 5 days in a working week to get done what I need to get done anymore. I need to work around my children, and I do the best possible job for my clients, but so I don't agonize over some of the details I used to, because I know when good enough is good enough, and when they're happy, when it fits the brief, um, that's enough sometimes. Um, I also wanted to talk about building resilience. So I think, yeah, I'm a big believer that confidence builds as your resilience builds too. So they kind of, I think I've got, yeah, this little diagram here. So they kind of just go alongside each other. So things like creative setbacks, obstacles, negative feedback, or perceived failures. Although I don't really believe that there are any failures, I think it's just lessons. But I think they're all really resilience building, which I think in turn makes you more confident and creative, as you quite quickly realise that these things are just all part of the creative process, and they ultimately make you better at what you do. So I think it's all part and parcel of growing your own confidence, really, is having these things that set you back, and slowly, it might be over time, or feel like two steps forward, one step back, but they all build your resilience, and then that will make you a more confident, creative, and a confident person too. A big thing for me, and a big lesson that I'm always having to kind of remind myself of, is around protecting your own energy. I think creativity is energy. Like, we all know that when you're on a project, and it can be so fulfilling, but it can be really draining too. Like, for me, it's big branding projects. Like, that is where I'm in my flow state. It's where I feel the most passionate. It's the stuff I think I'm the most good at in what I do. The kind of ideas generation, but it's really draining sometimes, and you need to kind of protect your own energy and protect, like, creative boundaries as well as like literal ones. So what are the boundaries you want to have around your creative practice, both within yourself and also with others, and also having the courage. So this is about confidence, having the courage to stick to them. So I'll give you a few examples. So some creative boundaries I've had over the years have been around giving my phone number or WhatsApp, to clients, my time that I'm at work, and when you can expect to hear from me. I mean, at the moment in my email footer, it says, I work flexibly around my children. You might hear from me outside of the normal 9 to 5, but I don't expect you to respond in this time. I'm working flexibly, so people know what the boundary is. They know what to expect from me. Whereas 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, but that doesn't work for me anymore. So I've changed my boundary around it, and that's okay. Boundaries can also include things like, yeah, when and how I'm contactable, number of revision rounds, feedback, how you want the feedback process to be given to you. That's a boundary, so you're ready to receive it. Pricing, that's also a boundary of, like, what are you, yeah, how you value yourself and not underselling yourself. And also, as I mentioned, a big caveat is that boundaries can change as your life does, or as what you want changes. I'm less boundaried around the phone number thing at the moment, because some clients I have that are also parents, we voice note each other and it works really well, and I'm okay with that now, whereas I wasn't in the past. And so I think there's a lot of talk around boundaries and being really strict with them, but knowing also when to let the guard down a little bit is important. So again, I sort of touched on this earlier, but done is better than perfect. So knowing when good enough is good enough, and have the confidence to call a project when it's done, whether it's like a personal creative project that you want to do just for the joy of it. It doesn't need to be perfect, but also what, client work or work for the company that you work for. I think you just need to, yeah, often as creatives we're quite hard on ourselves, and knowing that sometimes done is better than perfect is it's good enough. um, and my kind of last bit of advice on this topic of caring is, this is going to sound quite sort of direct and a bit brutal and to the point, but somebody said this once to me when I was agonizing over, like, I think I was really umming and ahhing about sharing more about my process and my work on social media, which I'm still not very good at all and don't really wish to be. But at the time I was really kind of umming and ahhing, and she just said to me, look, nobody cares. It's like quite a nice humble reminder that everyone's looking at themselves more than they're looking at you and what you're doing. So I think just do it, like share the thing, talk about it, is a good reminder that nobody cares as much as you do, and that can be quite confidence building. As soon as I sort of shifted into thinking like that, I felt like my confidence wasn't getting knocked as much every time I put myself out there. Yeah, because nobody cares that much. So the next big one for me around, how you kind of build this creative confidence is also around abundance and thinking in an abundant way. So the idea, there's plenty of work to go around. It's a really difficult time at the minute for creatives, like incredibly difficult. But again, going back to this idea of trusting that there's enough, trusting that the right clients, the right briefs, the right teams, the right job, the right people are out there. And especially right now, it might take more time and it might feel really hard. But I think just having this kind of abundant mindset that there's enough, and being kind of open to things. Another quote which I haven't included in here, but I should have, that I kind of live by, is if it doesn't open, it's not your door. Um, I just massively believe that. I think if it doesn't, if you lose a project, if you pitch for something and you don't get it, I even had it a couple of weeks ago, a project that I was pitching for with a few other freelancers, and we really wanted it, but it didn't come through, and I was disappointed. But it's like, okay, now move on. They obviously wasn't the right project for whatever reason. Let's move on to new things, and I've had new things come through since then that are really exciting. So I think just having a bit more of an abundant mindset is really valuable to build your own self-esteem and confidence. And kind of going hand in hand with that is also having a generous spirit. So I think I would not be doing what I'm doing for as long as I've been doing it, were it not for the people that I've had around me and the people that were there from the start and still are. It's especially in like a world of AI right now, which is also confusing for creatives to navigate. People want people. I think just always remember that, and helping people, being generous with your time and your knowledge. Like, the generosity I've received over the years of doing this has been like incredible, and I would not still be doing it were it not for those people, because they raise you up. Freelancing can be incredibly lonely, and being a creative as well, because you're quite insular a lot of the time and focusing on what you're doing or your craft. I think having those people around you who build you up and build your confidence is really important. And on the flip side of that, being generous with your time and your resource and what you know. So not kind of gatekeeping ideas. And I know a lot of people who like fail in public or show their workings or show their process a lot more visibly for everyone. And your vulnerabilities, I think, is really important. And that kind of, the generosity piece is really key there, I think. And the final kind of big topic within this, I think, is around joy. So pretty simple one, but finding the joy in what you're doing. Because when you enjoy what you're doing, other people can feel it, and then they have confidence in you, and it just kind of, it's a vicious cycle. They'll come back to work with you again, because they have that trust in you. You trust that you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing, they like your work. And I think the main thing there is finding the joy, because it comes across and people will feel it. And also another kind of note on joy is having confidence to find joy in other things. I think for a lot of us, we're like, I'm a brand designer, or I'm a photographer, or I'm a this, when you're creative. And I think it doesn't have to be as rigid as that. It's definitely something I'm exploring and have explored, because I have other interests and other things that bring me joy. I did pregnancy yoga teacher training a couple of years ago, because I love it and it's something that brings me joy, and I want to continue doing those things because I think it all fuels the creative sort of tank or spark or whatever you want to call it within you. And so I think that's really important, to find joy in other things, creative or not really, and it all just helps build that confidence and that ability to then show up in your creative practice. Okay, so we're going to do a little exercise, so feel free to pause. Like, you're probably going to need a notebook and pen, or just a scrap of paper and a pen for this, so feel free to just pause the video and go and get those. But I'm going to talk you through some journaling prompts. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about input versus output. So I think journaling in general is a massively beneficial exercise to do. So as people, but as creatives especially, we spend a lot of time like looking outwards, absorbing what others are doing, absorbing inspiration. You're like a magpie, you kind of absorb things and take a lot in all the time, a lot of stimulus, which is great for inspiration, but it's a lot of input. And also with things like social media, podcast, TV, etc., like we all know this, we're taking in a lot of outward stuff all the time, and I think it's really important to spend some time kind of looking more inwards and reflecting, in order to kind of just like clear the system, so that you can be more creative and feel more assured and confident about what you're doing. So yeah, and I think journaling's like a bit of a sense of release, of like processing things. So you can do this in your personal life, but also with like a work lens on. I find it really helpful too. So we're going to do I'm just going to read out the questions, and feel free to pause, take your time, write some answers, but this is very much for you. Like, it's not about sharing anything, unless you want to. And then if you want to, feel free to reach out, because I'd love to chat through any of these things. Okay, so number one, what does true creative confidence mean to you? And just a note on answering these as well, a suggestion I have, and what I like to do when I'm journaling, is write as a kind of stream of consciousness. So don't really think about it. Don't let the pen leave the paper. Don't worry about it being neat or articulate or well written. Just write whatever comes to mind. And then when you feel like, don't even set a timer or anything. Just when you feel like you've kind of run dry with that one, then you can move on, would be my suggestion. So yeah, what does true creative confidence mean to you? Number two, what would it look like if you were truly confident in your creativity? Number three, when do you feel most confident, creatively speaking, and what gets you into that flow state? And number four, if you could bring anything to life without limits, what would it be? So have a think about those, write down your thoughts, your gut feelings about what comes to mind when you see those questions. And please do feel free to reach out if you want to chat about any of this. I'd love to, if you're local, grab a coffee, whatever. But yeah, I hope this has been somewhat helpful, and thank you very much.